This is the CX-70. It's basically a CX-90 with the third row removed. Now you'd think there'd be heaps more boot space up the back here, but not really actually. Just like the CX-90 with the third row folded down, you've got a huge boot, just the same. So you've still got the cup holders there, taking up a little bit of space. And then under the floor here, we've got a little bit of space, extra space, and then these little shallow tubs under there as well. So it's not a huge difference over the normal CX-90. I'll flash up the exact capacity specs right now just to see. But to me, I don't know, why wouldn't they just name it a CX-90 with the third row not there? Like, you know, Hyundai offers a Palisade, or even the CX-9 you could get in a 6-seater form. I don't think there's a need to change the badge, but also that'll impact sales a little bit too, because if they combined them with CX-90, then the whole CX-90 and CX-70 sales would be together. But anyway, you do have a very luxurious cabin, heaps of rear legroom. This seat reclines as well, so I can just sit back and relax and look at the legroom. It's, yeah, more than enough for me. You've got climate control or semi-climate control, charging ports, and climate vents, of course. This has also got the dual sunroof. And then in the front, I love this suede style of trim across the dash, although I'm not sure how that would wear over, you know, a couple of years of use. It might get a little bit dirty as well. But it feels very nice and luxurious in here. Like, it's got excellent build quality and it looks and presents like a proper luxury vehicle. And then down below you've got the sort of MZD hand controller. So you can use that while you're driving. It just helps to reduce distraction, because once you get used to where all the menus are, you can sort of just glance across as you're driving along. You don't have to actually reach across and look where you're pointing or making selections with your finger. You do have a different drive mode toggle there as well, and then separate climate control, which is awesome. It's all down there. This example's got the D50e engine, so turbo diesel inline 6. I love where Mazda's going with this. Good amount of power and torque. It does feature mild hybrid technology, and it's got this coasting function, so when you're cruising along at certain low demands, the engine will actually cut out and it will just use the small electric motor mounted in between the engine and gearbox to help push the car along just while you're coasting. So you save a bit of fuel. But when you're driving, it's not completely seamless. It'll switch off, and then when you go to accelerate just a little bit, not even overtaking, just like put your foot down just a tiny bit, it re-engages, and it's noticeable, but it's not jerky, but it's just noticeable. There are some hybrids that are out there that are much more seamless. You don't even notice the transition between petrol engine and electric motor. But anyway, it does help save fuel. I'm not expecting a huge difference for the 0 to 100 time compared with the equivalent CX-90. The third row removed would save a little bit of weight, but you've even got the controls still there too. So I don't know how much weight it actually saves. I'll flash up some specs now, the curb weight differences for the equivalent top spec model, so you can see. But we'll do the performance test in a second. We'll just go for a quick drive and I'll give you a bit of an idea of how it goes. Yeah, so under the bonnet is a 3.3 litre turbo diesel inline 6, 187 kilowatts and 550 newton meters, which is strong. That's a nice amount of power and torque for this style of vehicle, although there are some German rivals that offer a bit more torque and power. But I think this cruises along really well. It's averaging 6.7 litres per 100 kilometres, which is excellent for a big SUV like this. We did see it drop down to about 6.5 with regular driving. I've been doing a bit of spirited driving. So yeah, you could probably get it even lower than that in extended normal use. In terms of the handling, it feels kind of heavy. It's hard to explain, but it's actually a little bit top heavy as well. Like, you move the steering wheel a little bit, it's a bit of a disconnected steering feel itself, compared with other Mazdas, that is. So if you get into a CX-9 even, it's a very direct feel, whereas this, it feels a bit remote. Like, you'll move the steering wheel and then the vehicle will follow a little bit after, which, you know, that kind of seems a little bit normal, I guess. But then you've got this kind of sway feelings. Other than that though, the ride is pretty good. It absorbs bumps. It seems like it's got a decent amount of suspension travel, even if you opt for the big wheels. And yeah, most of the time it is reasonably comfortable. It's not the most comfortable out there, but it's also not the most sporty out there. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle, Although I do believe that Mazda could fine-tune it just a little bit more to bring it in line with its previous models, like the CX-5, the CX-9. They all handle really nicely. They're a bit soft for my personal liking, but they handle really well, even if there is a little bit of body roll. Whereas this, it's kind of trying to walk a different balance. Overall though, it's quite an interesting option, being so large with the big boot, but it's also got a definite luxury undertone. It's easy to drive, it's got good visibility as you'd get from normal Mazdas, so you've got a little bit of a gap between the side mirror there, for example. I can easily see out the front, I can see over the bonnet, and even out the back is not too bad for a modern vehicle. It's worth noting it is 29 degrees at the moment, so there's not much I can do about that. I'd expect slightly quicker times in cooler conditions.